Okay. Amen. We are ready. All right. Good afternoon. I am surprised to see so many of you here. I know that it is raining outside, but we are happy that you can all be back here with us this evening as we talk about some of the practicums. So first of all, there's a lot going on here. This is one of the reasons why I typically need more time to do this presentation. And so we're going to get right into it, and we're going to study together. Caleb, I need you to go over there, please. So has anyone learned anything that throughout our lectures thus far? Any questions that you may have that you may want to be answered? All right. We're just going to go straight forward with it. Then let's start with a word of prayer as we start. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the opportunity you've given unto us. We pray for your holy angels to be with us tonight as we study these topics. Give us wisdom that we may understand. In Christ's name, amen. All right. So again, I'm from Brother Udi from the Tree of Life Natural Foods, and we do the On the Road program. I just want to give you a little bit of a background of where we come from. This is where we live, right here, in that little house right here, in the middle of the country of Missouri. This is how we like to live. This is how I grew up in Haiti. And this is what I believe the Lord wants for us. We are told that country living is a prominent work. It is very important, especially in raising children. And the purpose of country living is often misconstrued and misunderstood. It is not to hide. Number one, you can't hide anywhere nowadays, especially with these gadgets in your pocket. We can see a penny from space. That's not the purpose of country living. So I want to first remove that misconception. But the purpose of country living, we are told, is for, number one, character building. Because, again, I told you earlier, the only thing we can take to heaven, not our culture, our character. And the second reason for country living is because we are told that the question of buying and selling is going to become a serious one. And for that purpose, we need to be able to raise our own provisions. Those are the two primary. There are many other purposes, but those are the two primary purposes. Character building and growing your own food. Not hiding. Okay? So that's the first misconception. So we live right here again, and that aspect of Missouri. And there's a quotation that I shared with you the other day that I want to begin by sharing with you now, okay? Do you remember we talked about the four things that we needed to understand as we see religious aggression subverts the liberties of our nation? Has anybody seen the aggression, especially around 4 years ago? That was the tip of the iceberg. I believe God gave us a taste to wake us up. And many of us were awakened around that time. And then what happened? We fell right back to sleep. So, we are told as religious aggression subverts the liberties of our nation, those who would stand for freedom of conscience will be placed in unfavorable positions. And what is an unfavorable position? We are told that we will not be able to buy. That's an unfavorable position, wouldn't you think? And so my question always arises that if you won't be able to buy or to sell, how are you going to eat? Better yet, people say, well, God will feed us. God will feed us. But let's not be presumptuous. God will not do for ourselves. He will not do for us what we should be doing for ourselves. Does that make sense? Let me give you a practical example. In the book of Hebrews chapter 11. God told Noah there's going to be a flood. In other words, God says there's coming a crisis. Suppose Noah said, well, God will take care of us. I don't have to do anything to prepare for the crisis. Could God have saved Noah without the boat? Yes, he can do anything. But would God have saved them if he did not take hammer and nail and make practical preparation? No, because he would have been living in direct violation. Are you following? So God has told us there is something that we are to be doing. And if we don't do it, then we can't, in a time of need, say, well, God will take care of us. Is that clear? Is that clear? It's that same principle that I share with you this morning. And out of all people, as Seventh-day Adventists, we should understand this principle. And that is faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. Being what? Being alone. So, we are told, watch this now, as we see religious liberty come under attack, there are 4 things that we should do. Now, there are many, many other things, but we're dealing with health, so I need to apply it to health. Does that make sense? And the topic of health, and that relation, we are told that we should become intelligent in regards to what? Disease. It's right there. We should become intelligent in regards to what? Disease. And what else? Its causes. What else? Prevention. And what else? Why? Well, that's a good hypothesis. Okay. Well, you know, the answer is right on the board. There will be suffering ones, plenty of them, who will need help. Not only of our own faith, but largely among those who know not the truth. So therefore, we need to help them. And by helping them, we can use what's called the entering wedge in order to what? Bring in the gospel. In other words, this is the only means of evangelism that's going to exist. We read it this morning, remember? Soon there will be no other work done in ministerial lines except what? The medical missionary work. But also we should understand this because think about it. Let's just think rationally. I said to you this morning, God is a rational God. In Isaiah 1:18, he says, come now, let us what? Reason together. And I'm not trying to push fear-mongering, but I'm trying to have us think rationally. If we are wholly dependent upon, let's say, certain medications for a chronic lifestyle disease, how are you going to buy it when you can't buy or sell? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to respond to that. Think about that. The only way you would be able to buy is if you succumb to the mark of the beast. It's a rational question. And so we don't have to answer those things, but this is something we need to pray about. And so for this reason, we are told we should become intelligent to disease, causes, prevention, and cure. All right? Prevention. That's right. So, but there are, the best way to prevent disease the best way to not be sick is to prevent it in the first place. You ever heard the statement, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure? So that's what we're talking about. All right, let's go quickly. Well, I'm going to skip through this, but here is some things I wanted to show you. I wanted to go through and show you a little bit of the work that we do, because I was speaking about it earlier today. And I want to just kind of show you a little bit of it. All right. So As I was saying to you earlier, we had a health food restaurant that we had opened, and we were dealing with people who had various lifestyle diseases. And they were coming in with high blood pressure, with diabetes. So we have practical hands-on experience dealing with these cases. And this was not just a gimmick. Many of these people would see huge changes. And what we would do was simply give them a plant-based diet, teach them about certain natural remedies, give them an herb or a remedy to use. And as a result of that, we would see that God would take the realm and would work with them. It got to a point where when they came to the restaurant, they would tell us, we would know whenever somebody walked in that restaurant, we knew that they were not there just to eat, that there was a reason. In most cases, they had just been diagnosed with some kind of chronic lifestyle diseases. For instance, an older lady in her 80s who had been a diabetic, very bad diabetic, unable to control her diabetes. She had frequent doctors for the last 30 years of her life, she says. From where we were living all the way up to other cities, and could not find help. Meaning her blood sugars were still uncontrollable. And then what actually happens to her is when she came to us, within 3 days of giving her a plant-based diet, she was able to get her blood sugar under control. She had been trying to do this for 30 years. It was the same thing with another lady that we helped get off 18 medications who had been on Ambien for 30 years for sleep, in addition to narcotic pain medication and that medication. And we have the testimonies of all these people, and many of them came to our lifestyle center and did our treatment plans and were able to see great results. This was our first health retreat that we held. And we had people come from Fiji, California, to actually sit down and to learn from these simple methods. So people, and by the way, 99.9% of them were non-Adventists. Are you following me? See, to some degree, our people does not appreciate the health message. But the world is really catching up to it. As a matter of fact, just the other day, right where I'm staying in West Palm Beach with Sister Asneth, we had a lady who got a hold of our lectures and called, who was living in that area. She was a Jehovah's Witness. Do you know most Jehovah's Witnesses will not even speak to you? If you go to them with a Bible, or you try to pray with them, or open up the Word with them, they won't talk to you. But what brought her inside of the house, sitting with me, opening up the Bible, doing a treatment, getting some herbs for her high cholesterol, her health. Do you know why? Because health is a universal language. Doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your race, everyone speak health. I can go to China, which I've been. I can go to the Philippines, which I've been. I can go to Florida, which I am now, to Jamaica. Everyone speak health. In other words, they want to know, how do I get better? How do I live longer? How do I obtain a more optimal life? And these people are coming in contact with you. Some of you know them at work. They say, man, I've been having this pain in my knee. Man, my blood sugar is so high. I have this migraine. You don't know what to tell them. In most cases. But God did not put you in those places by accident. A lot of these people, you are the only Bible they will ever read. And we are required to know how to do simple treatments. Is that clear? All right. So this lady came to us. She had a brain tumor. And she was a bit overweight. And right now, she moved from where we were living in Missouri. And if I show you her picture now, how she looks, She's living in Florida. She came with a cane. She bitterly cried when she got to that place, and we told her she had to walk up the stairs to go to her room. She threw a fit and said, I could not attend this. You didn't tell me. I requested a downstairs room. And I said, no. Let's pray. Because we saw the enemy working. That always happens. And we said, this is for you to gain some exercise. When she walked out of that place, the lady lost, I think, a good amount of weight. Don't remember exactly what it was. Don't want to lie to you. But she walked without that cane. And now she's walking. And her cancer has subsided. This same lady was roommate with this lady right here. Her name was, I won't say her name. And she came with a blood pressure of 188 over 112. Stroke numbers. She came to the restaurant right after she left the doctors. And the doctors said to her, we have given you everything. I mean, you name it, she was on the medication. And she said, something told me, I've been driving by this restaurant, but something told me to walk in here. And today as I walk in, I'm telling you that I'm on the point of death. I don't know what to do. I said, well, it just so happened we were having that session the next day. She signed up immediately, came to the session. She was working with the ladies. Come to find out, the lady hadn't had a bowel movement in 10 days. That is the situation of the people that you see you ever hear that song? People need the Lord. Every day you're walking by, you can see it in their eyes. You see them laughing and smiling, but they're in pain. They're sick. And God has put them in contact with you. And we are told we are to be to the world what Joseph was to Egypt. We are to be to the world what Daniel was in Babylon. What was Joseph and Daniel? A problem solver. So she came in, and after that bowel movement, that lady left. I could show you her testimony. Don't have it here, but she left feeling very good. I mean, the story goes on and on and on for some of these people who, through the health message, came through. This is Linda, one of my favorite persons we helped. Linda was a stage 3 kidney failure patient. And Linda is an actual registered nurse as well. Linda came to us. She said, I've tried everything. I've tried a raw diet. I've tried this diet. We said, Linda, come to the Lifestyle Center. 4 days. Let me just tell you, this woman, her blood pressure was so high, which was possibly causing some of the issues. And she also had some kidney issues that won't say what else was causing it. But when we got done working with Linda, within a matter of 3 months, it didn't happen instantaneously. And Linda is a rare case because she's one of those people that was very anal about everything we told her. She made sure she did it 200%. And again, Linda is not an Adventist. Linda was discharged by her nephrologist because her EGFR and her BUN and her creatinine became so low after she went on a plant-based diet and did the various herbs and the treatments that her nephrologist says, Linda, we no longer need to see you. And I actually can call Linda right now and have you talk to her, and she will tell you just like what I'm telling her. And she discarded her blood pressure medications. So there's also another part of this work. And that is, it's not all bloom and gloom. Because I wouldn't be a fair person. This person right here, this is Linda's blood pressure when she came. You see that? 167 over 103. By the way, the systolic number, we're going to talk about blood pressure. The systolic number represents the heart at work. So usually when I see the systolic high, I'm not as concerned. But when the bottom number is high, the diastolic, which represents the heart at rest, that tells me there may be some stressors, some anxieties, and that tells me the person is not getting any rest, right? So you know what prescription I gave him? Rest. Matthew 11:28-30. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For my yoke is easy and my burden is, she was stressed. Every 5 minutes, Linda was taking her blood pressure. Why is it not going down? And we give Linda the garlic suppository. Y'all know what that is? First remedy. One of the most effective blood pressure lowering remedies. You take a garlic clove, you peel it. You don't chop it. Please do not say, Brother Udi said you chop it. By the way, the disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor. This is for educational purposes. But you take the garlic, you peel it, and you take a knife and you put one slit, two slit, like a cross. In other words, to get the properties to come out. And you lubricate it and you stick it up your rectum. Listen, stick around. Try to do it before you use after you use the bathroom. Because if you don't want it to go right away. Because the next time you use the bathroom, it comes out naturally. Do that every day if your blood pressure is high. Because, you have a richer capillary down there. It's quicker than taking it in the mouth. So do your garlic suppositories every day if your blood pressure is high. But what did I say? Don't chop the garlic. Because if you do that, you're going to burn. Don't come sue me. Because I don't have no money to give you. You peel the garlic. It's called a garlic suppository. Garlic has allicin in it, various properties that lowers the blood pressure. It's a natural calcium channel blocker, just like the hawthorn berries, which we're going to make an extract with that today. But anyways, back to the story. Linda now is actually living with a normalized blood pressure, and her lab value, her GFR, is up in the 90%. All right? It's up there. In other words, her kidney function. Your filtration rate represents your kidney function. It's up in the 90s. And her nephrologist says, we do not need to see you anymore. And the nephrologist says, what did you do? She told him, but he does not care. Okay? So, we're talking about chronic lifestyle diseases. Are you following? Chronic lifestyle diseases. I do have to say this. There is a place for doctors. Okay? As I said, and I'll say it again, the medical world, the medical field of the U.S. has the best diagnostic system. By the way, go get your diagnostics. Check those things out. But when it comes to cure, it is not a very good system. All right? Are you following me? Because God's method of cure is so much more superior. Okay? So we were giving her juices. We were doing things like charcoal poultices. We were doing infrared light massages with castor oil. We were doing teas like stinging nettle, uva ursi, corn silk. Anybody know about the corn silk? You know when you peel the corn and the hair on the corn? That's a very powerful diuretic. If you have swollen legs, if you have edema, and also if you have a urinary tract infection, you steep it for 10 minutes and drink it with some honey and watch what happens. The remedies are all over God's creation. And so, as I was saying here, I'm going to go through this quickly. Some of these folks, I don't have time to talk about some of the treatments. The story I was saying, not everything is rosy. All right? We also have people who come who, in their coming, we realize that they're not there for us to cure them. By the way, we don't cure people, right? God is the cure. God is the healer. But we have people that come that we realize that when they come, they are not there to receive a quote-unquote cure. But they are there to be prepared for death. You know that? They are there for you to help them spiritually, because ultimately, like I said to you this morning, ultimately it's not necessarily about curing the persons on earth. What's the point of that? It's about pointing them to eternal life. Are you following? So some people, they just need a reminder. They just need prayer, encouragement, and strength to go through with their last phase of life. All right? And so I'm going to go quickly here as we discussed more. This was the lady we helped with the stage 5 kidney failure. She came all the way from New Mexico. And this is the food they get. These are some of the folks who come. And we do things like sauna treatments, which, by the way, we can talk about what it does. Massages. Various things that can help them exercise. Like this man here came with CHF. He had a bunch of fluids. He came from Maryland. And we got him to exercise. We put him on a plant-based diet. And his fluid was getting less and less, and before he left, he was actually feeling much, much better. So we give them the principles. It's not always about healing, but we teach them the principles that if they continue to do them, they would reap the benefits. You ever hear the statement that the natural remedies are slow? But that's not what the statement says. That's another misconception. She says, to the impatient, the natural remedies are slow. To the impatient. In other words, it's going to take patience as you do this. The biggest misconception that people make is you're going to take an herb and then just like that. Doesn't work that way. And I hate to break the news, but don't say, Brother Yudi, I took it and it didn't work like that. Everything that we make, we tell you, needs to be done in conjunction with a lifestyle change. And you didn't just get high blood pressure in 7 days or 24 hours. It's not going to go away in 7 days and 24 hours. In most cases, it took a lifetime for you to develop these chronic lifestyle diseases. So easy does it. But one of the most common things I see among us as a people is inconsistencies in following the regimen. If you are inconsistent, I tell people don't bother. You have to be consistent. And some of the most consistent people I've worked with are non-Adventists. I'm not trying to, how do you say, be prejudiced here. But it seems to me that some of the people that are more consistent, that sticks to the regimen and see the results, are non-Adventists. Why is that? I don't know. But that seems to be the case. All right? This man, his name is Remy. He's actually a Haitian guy. And his wife had called. And his wife said, Brother Yudi, he's been in a nursing home for 3 years. He's in his 40s. He had a massive stroke. And he developed hemiparesis on his left side, meaning he was kind of paralyzed. And she said, should I take him out of the nursing home? I said, yes. But here's what you must do, because you got to be ready, because it's going to be a 24-hour case. He came to us. The man hadn't had a bowel movement in I don't know how many days. Because in the medical field, sometimes if you haven't gone for 48 to 72 hours, that's acceptable. That is not acceptable. Every time you eat, you should go to the bathroom. If you eat twice a day, you should go at least twice a day. All right? Because for whatever goes in, something has to come out. Okay? And our GI system is one of the 7 channels of elimination. And our urinary system is another channel of elimination. What happens when you don't take out the garbage for a week or two? Let's say you forget to put it out. It smells. It piles up. It decays. So you got to take it out. We have actual garbage systems in our body. The gut is one of those systems. And a lot of us are dying resulting from issues that arise from constipation. What happens when we are constipated? Do you know that when we are constipated, you have the ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon? Sometimes some of that food can actually back up into that. The putrefying blood can back up into the system again. And a lot of times these things are causing diseases. In most cases, people who are on a meat and heavy dairy diet are not defecating properly. Do you know there's something about your poop that you can tell about your health? I won't have time to present that. You can tell, you can look at your poop and tell the state of your health. Whether it floats, whether it drains, whether there's many. So basically, this is a whole science, right? But anyways, he actually got up out of his wheelchair after 4 days, working with him and praying, lots of praying, feeding him properly, and he walked into the car. Now, he didn't just all of a sudden bounce back, by the way. I want to be sure. He's still continuing his treatment. He's doing physical therapy. He's doing those things, and he's getting better and better each day. But that man would have died in a nursing home. Do you see the food they're feeding these people in the nursing home? I used to work in one. I can tell you, there's very little greens, and if there is green, it's boiled to death. It comes out of the can. Hey, listen, I've been in every department. I started in the dietary, I went into dishwashing, I did the CNA, then I did my RN. I worked in every aspect, so I know what I'm talking about. And the food that they're feeding these people, and some of these hospitals and nursing homes, are not designed to heal. Okay? They are bad. They are bad. And honestly, I've heard people say dogs get fed better, and some dogs get fed better than what they're feeding people in these facilities. And they're collecting thousands of dollars per day from insurance and barely give them some fruits. Canned fruits in the morning. Canned beans in the evening. No nutrients. And we expect, why do our fellow brothers and sisters are not getting better? By the way, there was a system that was to be initiated by the church, and we actually were told not to put our loved ones in nursing homes. You know that? Many a times, I know we live in a busy world, but our parents took care of us our whole lives. Why would we put them in a nursing home? We need to take care of them in their old age when they can't take care of themselves. That's God's system. So, this quote says, in the days of Christ, there were no sanitarium, but wherever he went, he himself was a sanitarium. Are you following? So we got to have it where wherever we go, we are a sanitarium. Let me just go quickly here. This quote is interesting because you may say, well, I'm not a medical person. How can I start? And I said to you, start with what? The conveniences that you have at hand. It says, many will go out to labor for the master who have not been able to take a regular course of study in school. And it says, God will help these workers. They will obtain knowledge from the higher school and will be fitted to take position in the rank and file of workers as nurses. The great medical missionary sees every effort that is made to find access to souls by presenting to them the principles of health reform. So many of us will not have the training. So look at this. This is one of the things we're doing. Our juices, fresh pressed juice for blood pressure. This is a potent erectile dysfunction extract we make. This is our plate. Now, this is a fairly small plate. The person did not want a big plate, and we really did it for presentation. But in that plate, what do you see? Yeah, there's essentially the 5 good food groups. You have your nuts, you have your seeds, you have your fresh fruit, you have your protein, you have your carbohydrates. All right? Now, my plate would look much better than that, but at any rate, we're going to dive in the blood pressure training that we were talking about. Now, let's look at some hard facts about blood pressure. You remember I said to you, my system is green means what? Go. Yellow means slow down. Red means Stop. So which one are you in the blood pressure category? Green, yellow, or red? Are you guys measuring your blood pressure at least once a week if you're not hypertensive? You should be measuring your pressure. And if you're pregnant, you should be doing it too. And if you're pregnant, you should be measuring your blood sugar. Make sure you don't have some issues that arises while you're pregnant. But anyways, a lot of people I deal with in the islands, from the islands, this is where they're at. Right here or right here. When your blood pressure is 180 over 120, you are at risk for a hypertensive crisis. But a lot of people are living in that range for a very long time, and most don't even know it. So what we're going to talk about now is a concept called salty Jamaicans. What's the name of it? Yeah, I'm not picking on you, okay? By the way, this study applied to all islanders, but it just so happened that terminology comes from Jamaica, and I'll show you why. What's the leading cause of death since the 2016 and 2017? Heart disease, okay? What is it? Heart disease. Let's look at the leading cause of death in Jamaica. All right? What's the first one up there? Can you see it? Stroke. This is a recent data. 81.9% of Jamaicans are dying from stroke. What is a stroke? It's basically a brain attack, kind of like a heart attack, right? What's the second? Diabetes. What's the third? Heart disease. What's the fourth? Oh, violence. We'll skip over that one. Prostate cancer. Fifth. Kidney disease. By the way, high blood pressure and diabetes buy you kidney disease. You know that? High blood pressure and diabetes will afford you kidney disease. It is not something you want to play with. Friends, you lose your kidneys, you're in trouble. Please take me seriously. If your blood pressure is high and you have sugar problem, you need to get these things under control because you are at risk of damaging your kidneys. And not just your kidneys, but I like kidneys. So, as we go here, I want to read this quote. It says, our bodies are made up from what? The food that we eat. Okay? There is a constant breaking down of the tissues of the body. Every movement of every organ involves waste. And this waste is repaired from our food. Each organ of the body requires its share of nutrition. Do you agree? The brain must be supplied. The bones must be supplied. The muscles. In other words, it is a wonderful process that transforms food into blood. So everything you eat gets transitioned to what? Blood. And blood does what? Feeds all the various parts of the body. So if you want good blood, you want good food. If you want bad blood, you want bad food. And if you eat bad food, you are feeding the cells bad nutrients. All right? Here's the blood under a microscope. See, these little red blood, these are the blood cells. Do you know the blood is a tissue? It's not necessarily a liquid, it's a tissue. It's a connective tissue. And these red blood cells are carrying oxygen to our cells. In between, we have what's called the name is escaping me now. It's carried by the yellow part of the blood. Somebody help me. Plasma. All right. And so we also have the white blood cells. The white blood cells are housed within this liquid. Okay? So your blood is made up of your white blood cells, red blood cells, a little bit of plasma, and the platelets, which are responsible for the clotting of our skin if we get cut. Does that make sense? The Bible says that the life of the flesh is found right here. So when there is disease, we need to look at two things. We need to look, well, more than two things. We need to look at the state of our mind. We need to look at our spiritual health. We need to look at our mental health. We need to look at our blood. And if we are looking at our blood, it's going to lead us to our gut. Because everything that goes in our body to make us who we are enters right here. That's the physical. But the spiritual, everything that goes into our body to make up with who we are and character begins right here. Are you following? So there's a connection. So how can you say the food that we eat has nothing to do with my spirituality? So there is a connection. It's all connected. All right? It's all connected. So if you are hypertensive, chances are they're going to put you on the ABCDs, right? Your A's are your ACE inhibitors. Some of y'all are on those. They end with pril, lisinopril. Some of y'all know that very well. Some of y'all are checking your prescriptions right now. They'll put you on the R, the A's, the statins, the alpha blockers. They'll put you on the beta blockers, the metoprolol, right? The calcium channel blockers, and the diuretics. Those are the ones that make you pee. They call them the water pills, right? But we are told that restorative power, get me carefully, restorative power is not found in drugs, but it's found where? In nature. Notice I didn't say power to manage. They say you can manage it, but if you want to be restored, that power is going to be found where? In nature. Why? Because disease is an effort of nature, right? To free our system from the conditions that resulted from a violation of the laws of health, okay? And so I said to you Wednesday night, disease is essentially a friend of the body, okay? Because nature is making an effort to say, hold, red light, stop, what's going on, right? And the best example I can ever think of when I'm speaking is your check engine light. Your check engine light, is that your enemy or your friend? Some of you might put a piece of electrical tape on it and say, no, it's not my friend. But it's your friend because your check engine light is saying something's wrong. Disease is a friend because it's saying something is wrong. The body is trying to fight or do something to fix it. Does that make sense? All right. So what are we to do? 4 steps. Are you ready for the steps? In case of sickness, the first thing we should do is ascertain the cause, meaning let's figure out what's causing it. In most cases, when you go to the doctors, they do not sit down with you and say what's causing it. They don't ask you how much sleep are you getting. What is your stress like? What is your diet like? How much exercise are you doing? Do they do that? You may get 2 or 3 minutes with the doc. He may come with a stethoscope, then sign a bill, and you go on your way with a prescription. So we need to, remember I said to you this morning, the Bible is a thinking man's religion. We need to think. Don't be fooled. We have to be thinkers. Step number 1, we need to ascertain the cause, okay? Step number 2, what is the next step? Unhealthful conditions should be changed. How do we change those unhealthful conditions? You know what you need to change. I don't need to tell you. We're all rational beings. Number 2, wrong habits now should be corrected. Number 4, then what? Nature is to be what? Assisted in her effort to expel the impurities and reestablish the right condition in the system. All right, Dr. Walker. I tell people, do not start here. Assisting nature is when you start to do the herbs. Don't say, I took a herb, I took an extract, and it didn't work. When you haven't yet ascertained the cause, you haven't yet changed the wrong habit, you haven't yet corrected it. You see that? So you have to do all these things in conjunction with that. And then it says you need to reestablish the right condition in the system. Here's something I'm going to say here. It may sound strange, but it's not if you think about it. God is the healer. Are you listening to me? Herbs are not even healers. You know that? God is the healer. What the herbs do is the herbs assist in the healing process. Some of you, I got to explain it to you in basketball language. You know what an assist is when somebody give you an assist? They're not making the point, but they're helping you make the point. Are you following? So the herbs are helping you and assisting you, but God is ultimately the one who heals you. Can I show you that in the Bible? You know I like to show you everything from the Bible. What I said to you, it's in the Bible. 2 Kings chapter 20. Go there. 2 Kings chapter 20. This is a thinking man's religion. I'm almost done with this, and then we're going to go to a practical demonstration. What did I say? The herbs assist in the healing process, right? But ultimately, God is the one that heals. Is that right? Do you agree with that? Now, let's prove it from the Word of God. Because if we can't prove it from the Word of God, then it's no good. 2 Kings 20. You remember a man by the name of Hezekiah? Okay. What happened to Hezekiah? He was sick unto death. And what did he do when he was sick? Before he prayed, he turned his face to the wall. He was depressed. That's depression. Bible says he turned his face to the wall. And then he prayed. And what did he say? He said, I beseech thee, O Lord. I think I said 2 Kings. It must be 1 Kings. Is it 2 Kings? All right. I'm like, what am I going? 20. Okay. You guys got it then. All right. Verse 3. Yes. Okay. So what after he prayed, what happened in verse 3? Come on, medical missionary students. What happened? Yeah? The word of the Lord came to him, says what? Uh-huh. I will add 15 years to your life. So God says, okay, Hezekiah, I heard your prayer. I seen your tears. I'm going to heal you. I'm going to give you 15 more years to your life. Did God stop there? What did he do next? Read it. Come on. Not coming from me. What did God do next? What did he do next? And Isaiah said, go ahead. What verse is that? Verse 6. 7. And Isaiah said, take a lump of figs, Put it on the cancer and you shall recover. Did I make the point I just said? First, God healed him, but there was something he had to do in conjunction with that, and that was a natural remedy that he had to add in order to fully assist nature in the healing process. That's clear. So, God ultimately is the healer, right? But the herbs must not be discarded because they also help in the process of healing. Is that right? All right, you guys get it. All right, very good. Next, when high blood pressure is too high, what happens scientifically? The heart must work harder. You know that? Several factors are affected. The output of the heart. What is the heart outputting? What is the heart outputting? Blood. It's putting out blood, right? To some degree, good blood that has been oxygenated, sends it to the lungs, comes back, puts it back to the body. The output, when your blood pressure is high, the output from the heart, right, that is supposed to go is a lot lower. Why? Because the heart or the arteries is meeting resistance. Now, what is the blood outputting to all the cells? Oxygen, nutrients, food. So now these things are trying to get to the cells, but they can't because pressure is high. It's kind of like turning on your garden hose at full force, taking it while it's running and kink it. What happened on that one end? Pressure builds up from the water. What happens at the other end? No circulation. That's what high blood pressure is. And the cells begin to die. The kidney cells. You develop heart attacks. Because we are told that high blood pressure is called the silent killer. So therefore it affects the blood volume and the blood distribution. There are two mechanisms that work. In addition with these two factors, we have the nervous system and certain hormones like adrenaline. Many of us have been in full fight or flight mode for the last year or two of our lives. You know that? Some of us have gotten to a point where we are so stressed that we don't even feel it anymore. We've adjusted to the stress. And some of that causes high blood pressure. Right? And by the way, we got a testimony for you a little later. So, what we need to do is work on these things, the stress response. Here's an example of what I was telling you about. See that first hose? Water flowing freely, right? Watering the grass. The grass represents the cells. Second picture, water is, the pressure is low, it's not going properly. So only a little bit of the grass get watered. And the last one is a very high blood pressure. Just a drop that's going, right? It's not that simple, but I'll try to make it less complicated for you. All right. In the year 2000, 65 million people in the U.S. had high blood pressure. How many? Now it is estimated to be at 80 million and counting. All right? Of that number, 32% are women, 28% men. Why are women much more hypertensive than men? Men, why are the women much more hypertensive than men? You guys, they said you worry too much. Have mercy. Naturally, women are more of emotional and they worry a little bit more. But men, we can help out too with certain things, right? We can help do the dishes, men. The lady said yes. You can help clean. And one day you can cook. We can be a little bit more to help alleviate. You know, they say if you want to keep your wife young, you got to do these things. You want a young wife, you better start vacuuming more. Oh, I just got the cool points with the ladies now. All right. So, not more than that. She said more than that. Okay. So here's the take home. Non-Hispanic blacks have more high blood pressure than Hispanics. Hispanics are high too. What are the major causes? Diet, lifestyle, obesity. More women, however, die of hypertension because to some extent, watch this carefully, practitioners often fail to identify that condition in women. Why is that? Most women are less outspoken in front of practitioners. They're less outspoken. And sometimes they may just say, it's in your mind. You don't agree? My wife, okay, not everybody now, okay? So therefore, hypertension is called a silent killer. All right, everybody, here are the things that are affected when you are hypertensive. Stroke, these are the things you can have. Vision loss, heart attack, heart failure, kidney disease, and sexual dysfunction. Why? No circulation down there. No circulation down there. High blood pressure, dietary no-nos. The standard American diet. All right? Table salt. We talked about that earlier, right? What's in table salt? No minerals. MSG. You know what that is? Monosodium gluconate. That's in the most, not all, but Goya seasoning. You got to make sure you read it. It says no MSG. Sazon, Maggi. All right? And by the way, these things are placed in the food that you buy in restaurants. And your oxtail and your ackee because they cause you to be addicted. And they also cause cancer. Baking soda. Use baking powder instead. Canned foods. Ibuprofen. These are your dietary no-nos. Meat tenderizers, sugar, softened water, soy sauce, liquid aminos we don't even like. Avoid animal products. Aged cheeses. Why? Salt. Aged meats. Alcohol. Caffeine. Tobacco. These things, artificial sweeteners, raise the blood pressure. And of course, the Morton salt. So this is the salt that I like. All right. This is an article from the government of Jamaica. I actually researched this when I was down there. And what's the name of the article? Salty Jamaicans. Salty Jamaicans. And this article came from Dr. Christopher Tufton. You know him? That's your Minister of Health in Jamaica. Do you know there's a big campaign in Jamaica right now to reduce sodium intake? Are you aware of that? And sugar. Because again, when you drive now in Jamaica, you see the big billboard that says 7,000 Jamaicans per year die of a stroke. It's all around Kingston. There's a campaign. And so Dr. Tufton did reference this article where he says 67% of every, or 2 out of every 3 Jamaicans consume more than the recommended sodium, which is 3.6 grams per day. Are you following? What's the recommended dose? 2,000 milligrams per day. Watch this now. This is where you're going to stone me. What does 2,000 milligrams of salt look like? Not even a teaspoon per day. Not, listen, when I say teaspoon in the islands, they think I'm talking about tablespoon. Teaspoon is the slickle spoon. Tiny spoon, not the tablespoon you eat with. That's the baby spoon I'm talking about. Not even one of those per day. Not per meal, per day. Wow. Now you see why their stroke numbers is high? All right. Here's what was very startling about the study Dr. Tufton referenced. Other findings from phase 1 of the study, which is being led by Professor Trevor from the Research University Caribbean Institute for Health, included that 73% of males have a higher than recommended level of sodium intake. 60.7% of female have a higher than recommended levels of sodium intake. And then, one of the most significant part of the study, he says 1 in 3 Jamaicans are hypertensive. 35.8% are women, more women. 31.7% are men. And 4 out of every 10 people, listen to me carefully now, who have the disease are unaware. That's dangerous. 4 out of 10 are unaware. And notice what he says. At the same time, more and more Jamaicans age 15 to 74 are now being diagnosed with hypertension. Age 15. So what are we going to do about it, Jamaicans? Remember what I said to you this morning. Our children learn the way to eat from us. So if we don't break the cycle, we will not have a next generation. In 2017, 31.5% of persons of this age group had high blood pressure compared to 21.9. I think that's the most startling point of the study. Did you hear what he said? So in a matter of, somebody count, 2017 to 2001, how many years? From 2017 to 2001, there was a 10% jump, roughly. Okay? There was roughly a 10% jump in just 4 years. And that was from the year 2017, 2001 to, actually, it's more than 4 years. 2001 to 2017. Come on, somebody. 16. So in roughly 16 years, all right, there was that bit of a jump. So here's the question. What happened in Jamaica from 2001 to 2017 causing blood pressure to rise that high? There we go. What happened in Jamaica? The information superhighway, the internet, went worldwide. And with the internet going worldwide, the U.S. standard of living became everybody else's standard of living. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Here's a study from the National Library of Medicine. And this study is startling. What's the name of the study? Acculturation and dietary intake pattern among who? Jamaican immigrants in the U.S. So they did a study and they said, we're going to look at what happens to Jamaicans when they leave Jamaica to come to the U.S. What happens to their diet? And by the way, this study applies to all Caribbean people. Now watch this. You guys ready for this? Stay in your seat. Put on your seatbelt. Words in blue. A large body of the literature demonstrate the pivotal role of acculturation in the development of cardiovascular risk factors among immigrants in the U.S. Overall, findings show lower rates of diet-related chronic conditions and risk factors compared to those who immigrate to the U.S., implicating post-migration changes in lifestyle behavior. Translation: when they come here, within a year or two, they change their lifestyle practices, but mostly in diet. Follow me carefully. It's not done yet. Other findings show, this is the take home. This is mind-boggling. They found, number one, that persons who migrated to the U.S. with less education were likely not exposed to other people's cultural foods. Does that make sense? Let me finish. Because persons with less education may not have been exposed to cultural diverse environments or neighborhoods. Therefore, what they're saying is, when we come here to the U.S., the more education we get, the less educated we become in regards to our diet. Y'all gonna shoot me yet? Not everybody. No, again, no, this is, remember, this is not for everybody. This is not for everybody, of course. But this is the study they did, and they found this was definitely a factor. Okay? All right? All right. Now, continuing. There were three other keys to the study. Three other keys to the study. Western diet patterns, here's the study, plays a role in the increased prevalence of chronic conditions observed among immigrants. Western dietary patterns. The Western diet consists of processed foods, high fats, and simple carbohydrates that is high in sugar. And studies have shown that effects associated with changes in traditional dietary intake to a more Western or acculturated diet among many immigrant groups. For example, they found the same thing in Mexican Americans who adhere to a Western diet. Haitian Americans, it doesn't matter. Any group who came here, they found that when they adopted the American diet, they saw the same results in the American inherited lifestyle chronic diseases. The second point of the study, what's the second point of the second key? That's important. Second key. They found that it is also well established that traditional dietary patterns that are rich in what? Fruits, vegetables, whole grain, low-fat dairy, and in low saturated fats are associated with lower prevalence of risk factors for chronic diseases. Are you following? This is studied. These are facts that are being studied and things that are being put out. So here are some of the diseases of our lifestyle, right? Cancer, respiratory diseases, COPD, diabetes, atherosclerosis, high cholesterol, smoking. Now, how does magnesium affect our blood pressure intake? We have magnesium. The lower the magnesium level, the higher your blood pressure. The lower the potassium level, the higher your blood pressure. We're going to wrap up very soon to get into our training course. All right? Like I said, guys, you have to have us come back to finish. There's a lot more to cover. Let me just go through the herbal remedies as we get ready to do that. Foods that are high in magnesium. What are they? Avocados, bananas, papayas, blackberries. All right. What are some of the symptoms of magnesium deficiency? Tiredness, difficulty walking, poor handling of stress, loss of appetite, and personality changes, bad breath, and those type of things. All right? So, going to skip through this. Here are some of the supplements that can help you with high blood pressure. All right? Kelp. Anybody know what that is? It's a sea vegetable. CoQ10. You ever heard of that? It's very good for the heart. As you get older, you make less of this enzyme, okay? High fiber diet, please. What are fibers? Things that help to clean the body and to clean the arteries, right? And here they are, asparagus, ginger, that can also help. And then, of course, your 8 laws of health, right? The divine nutrition that God has given us, Genesis 1:29. Look at this, friends. How can you refuse such a plate? Isn't that beautiful? Remember I told you in the garden there were no pots? We need to go back to these diets, okay? So here are some of the herbs that can help lower your blood pressure. Y'all take a picture. which is what we're going to be using today for our extract making course. All right. Now, in order to make an extract, we're going to use something called vegetable glycerin. All right. I'm going to need some help here, and we're going to turn this into a lifestyle center. I need somebody with knee pain and arthritis to come up here, please. Knee pain and arthritis. Please come up and sit at that chair. I'm going to need my wife to go and apply this on this young lady there. Pray with her. We're going to give you some infrared power, some heat, and also some vibration. All right, we got two of them. We're going to sit right there. We're going to turn this to a lifestyle center. I need somebody to plug in the sauna. Who wants to go in the sauna? Do you have a shower to get into right after? How far do you live? I need you to go home and take a cold shower typically. We need a shower. All right. Knee pain. We need help. Don't worry about that. Can somebody come plug this in? Let's have one of the guys do that, honey. You don't worry about that. She's going to apply a 15-minute treatment for vibration, infrared light therapy, and heat. What are we doing? Think about the three. Vibration, infrared light therapy, and heat. What are we doing? Infrared light, massage therapy, and heat. What are those three things going to do? Leviticus, blood flow, circulation. All right? Remember, and yes, excuse me. Okay, so that is something tomorrow between the hours of 4 and 7, we're going to have a sheet going by, and we're going to have people who wants to talk, okay? Because you do have to be careful with certain things. All right, but you don't need to check with your doctor to make those lifestyle changes, right? Right. So, yes, so we're going to plug that in, and we're going to get that sauna heated. All right. She's over here getting her knee massage, and it's on infrared light, and we're adding to it some heat, okay? We're also going to be doing, so who has high blood pressure here? All right. I need someone who's a nurse here to take somebody's blood pressure. We need a nurse. We need other hands. We need a nurse here. You have white lab coat syndrome? All right, we're going to need a nurse, somebody to do some. Because as we are treating these people, remember, we need to pray with them. And then we're going to do an extract. Because you guys can actually turn this church into a hospital. And you can deal with people. You can treat them. There's a nurse right there. Okay. So what we need to do is I want to show you, while we do this, some of the things you can actually use to lower your blood pressure, right? And again, you want to make sure you are doing these things in conjunction with lifestyle changes. Listen, I never tell people to come off medication abruptly. I don't do that. Your decision to come off your medication is between you and your doctor. What I tell you is, and we've worked with plenty of doctors, most doctors are open when you say, Doc, I'm trying some lifestyle changes. I'm trying to do this and to do that, and they are open to doing it. So I forgot to bring the oregano, but the oregano grows like wildfire in Florida. I see it everywhere. And that oregano has 7 compounds in it to lower your blood pressure. Do I have a picture of it? Can somebody take a picture? You guys call it in Jamaica French thyme, I think. Okay? So this is the hawthorn berries. Okay? These hawthorn berries we're going to take them when we're making our extract. Follow me carefully. We're going to need 2 cups of liquid. All right? 1 cup will be of vegetable glycerin base. Does anybody know why we use the vegetable glycerin and not alcohol? The vegetable glycerin, number one, we shouldn't be using alcohol. Why not? Well, the reason why, listen, I don't use alcohol because I believe that the Bible is very clear about that. But I know that sometimes that is a controversial topic in our churches. But when you took your baptismal vow, it actually says that in there. I promise to abstain from the use and the sale of narcotics and alcohol. Pastor, you may have to go through that vow with them again. But anyways, we use the vegetable glycerin because this is the way we're going to preserve the extract. Okay? Does anybody understand what an extract is? Those who are not, I know Dr. Walker does, but basically what we are doing, all right, we need you to come up here, and I need someone to help me. We're going to just basically extract some herbs, right? While they are doing this, what's her blood pressure? It's very high. You don't have to say. We need to pray for sis right now, okay? And I'm going to give her something to drink by God's grace. Is that okay with you? Hon? Where are you? All right. What I have here is I have a hawthorn berry powder. All right. I'm going to use a relaxing agent such as peppermint. And I'm going to take the peppermint and I'm going to mix it with some hawthorn berry powder. And I'm going to add some turmeric in there and some cayenne pepper. Can somebody go in that box and find me some cayenne pepper? And I may need someone to hold this mic for me because I can't work like this. And if you want to come up and see, you can come up because I believe some of these things are in the way. Thank you. Some of the books that I use, okay? You guys see this book right here? Natural Remedies Encyclopedia. Please order it. If you have this in your home, it'll be a great, great help. It's about $50 on Amazon. The asking price for it is usually $135. You must have this in your library. Natural Remedies Encyclopedia. Can you hold this for them, please? Oh, thank you. Sis, want to hold this up for them? All right. Another book that I like, and this is the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine. This is written by Andrew Chevalier. He's a PhD, herbalist. All right? And in there, he gives you the dosages. He gives you the herbs. He tells you what the herbs are for and how you can use them. All right? It's in there. The cayenne pepper is in. It's in there. It's in a little glass like this. Yeah. I'm sorry. Ginger. Yeah, it's in a little glass like this. Yeah. Here's another book called Encyclopedia of Medicinal Plants. And this, when you open it, for instance, it'll tell you when you look at an herb. Just want to give you an example. It'll tell you the properties of the herb. It will tell you the preparation and its use. And it'll tell you what it's for. All these books are available online. And remember what I was telling you earlier when the health message came at the general conference? They signed, they passed a strong resolution to begin to print health books. All of these books are coming about as a result of the work that was done in the early 1800s. All right? So, you're going to need, when you're making an extract, and I'm not making this for general use, I'm just giving you a demonstration. You must wash your hands. Make sure you put on a mask, because when you're cooking stuff, you don't want stuff to go in it, but this is just for demonstration purposes. I usually put on a lab coat, and then we're going to utilize some gloves. All right? So my hands are washed. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, we're good. Thank you, sis. All right, I'm good. I feel free now. Man, should I have this to begin with? All right, you're going to need a little wood cooking, a little heat stove, right? And you're going to need a stainless steel pot, right? You don't want to use aluminum, okay? And I'm going to tell you guys about stainless steel when I come back, because we have a stainless steel expert here, Sister Asna, and she uses the True Life or the Salad Master. You know about stainless steel, right? Not all stainless steel pack the same punch. And when we heat them up, remember I said in the islands, what do we love to use to cook with? Aluminum. That should not be. Because aluminum, when you heat it, the heavy metals leach out. And those heavy metals goes into our body. And you know what has to fight to get rid of it? The kidney. And that's not good, because we're putting our kidneys at risk. Okay? So I'm going to use some herbs that can lower your blood pressure. All right? I'm going to use hawthorn berries. I wish I had my oregano, but I don't. I'm going to use some turmeric, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and for every 2 cups of water, I'm going to add 2 ounces of herbs. All right? Because I'm going to make a small section here, small pot. So I got my scale, which you'll need. You'll need a scale. You need a measuring cup. You need an extract spoon. This is an extract teaspoon, which is elongated, so you can stir your herbs, okay? And you're going to need distilled water. In this case, I don't have distilled water here, so we're going to use what we have, okay? Now, vegetable glycerin comes from the vegetable, and it is sweet. And the sweetener preserves it over your counter so that after you finish it, that it doesn't go bad. It can stay, okay? One more thing. There are several ways of making extracts. This is one of the quickest ways. The other way you can make your extract is take a jar. You can take a mason jar, and you can put your 2 ounces of herbs in that mason jar with your liquid, and you can let it sit in your cabinet for 2 weeks. And it will naturally extract itself. But that is the long way. There's also other ways to do it. But this way, we're going to heat the pot. Usually, I have a thermometer, and I'm looking at my pot, and I'm heating my pot no higher than 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? We don't have. So, I'm going to put this to the side. It's okay. So I'm going to go ahead with 1 cup of vegetable glycerin. No, not yet. To 1 cup of water. Again, what kind of water do we need? Distilled water, but I don't have it, so I'm going to use what I have. So now I have 2 cups of liquid. How many ounces of herbs? 2 ounces of herbs. Now I'm going to take my herbs and I'm going to tear my scale. You know what that means? When you tear the scale, you balance it so that it will say 0 when I put this on there. So it doesn't count this weight. Okay? So my scale, you put it on there, then you tear it. Now it's at 0. Now, I typically like to use more hawthorn berry because that's my number one, or that's my base. Does that make sense? So I'm going to use this organic hawthorn berry powder. I have hawthorn berry seeds, and I also have the powder. The powder is much quicker, right? But the seed will take a little bit longer. So I'm going to take and I actually can show you that when I make this, my next one I'm going to make it with simply herbs. I won't use any powders. And I'm going to show you that while the liquid is white, after you extract it, it's going to become dark. And that's going to indicate that you are really extracting the herbs from there. This is not plugged in, by the way. Can someone help me with that? Because I'm actually doing this in real life. We need this thing plugged in. All right. I'm going to use, for my high blood pressure remedy, I'm going to use Camu. Anybody know what Camu is? This is the highest form of vitamin C in a fruit. More vitamin C than guava, more than orange, more than lemon. It's called Camu. And in most cases, if you have good vitamin C's in your blood pressure will go down. It is, I believe, it comes from the Amazon tropics. Either that or Brazil. You can probably order the seed and plant it in your backyard. Yes, you can order every seed, my sister. Thank you. Now, this is very good for building the immune system as well, the Camu, okay? You can put this in your smoothie in the morning. You can mix it in your oats.